Hey guys, this lesson is Unit 4, Lesson 6. We're going to be using diagrams to find the number of groups. We're really going to be drawing a lot of tape diagrams this time, so just make sure that you are paying attention. It can get a little tricky at the beginning, but I feel like once you do it a few times, you'll definitely catch on. So we're going to draw some tape diagrams to think about division with fractions. So 6.1, the title is, how many of these in that? Number 1, we can think of the division expression 10 divided by 2.5 as the answer to the question, how many groups of 2.5 are in 10? I really feel that this sentence is very crucial to understanding what division is. So we're going to complete the tape diagram to represent the question, and then we're going to answer the question. So I want groups of 2.5. So if this is 10 all the way across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then I know that I want groups of 2.5. So this is 1, this is 2, and then I'm going to stop right here at a half. And then I'm going to do that again. So this is a half, that's 1, that's 2, so there's my 2.5. And then here, you know what, I'm going to make these lines a little darker so you guys can see those better. So there's, here, you know what, I'm gonna use a color actually. So if you want to use a highlighter, it would not be a bad idea. Okay. So there's 2.5, and then here's my next 2.5, and then here's my next 2.5. I'm stopping right there in the middle. And then look, that's perfect. It worked out nicely to end with exactly the amount. There's 2.5. Sorry, I meant to do a different color. Okay, so how many groups of 2.5 is that? Well, here's one group of 2.5. Here's another group, here's another group, and here's another group. So how many groups do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So to the answer of the question, 10 divided by 2.5, how many groups of 2.5 go into 10? The answer is 4. All right, we're going to do it again. Complete the tape diagram to represent the question, how many groups of 2 are in 7? So we've got 7 blocks here. Again, I'm going to make this a little darker. Yours might be fine because yours is in the book. I printed mine off. And what we're going to look at is we want groups of 2. So here's my first group of 2. And then here's my next group. I don't like this pink one. It's got like a little line in it. Next group of 2. And then here's my next group of 2. But then I don't have enough to make a whole group. So then the question is this. Is this a 1? Because if this is 1, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 2. But 4 times 2 is 8, not 7. So really the way you have to look at it is this. This is one whole group. One group of 2. This is one group, this is one group, but this is half of this group. So I want 2, but I only have 1, so this is half of a group of 2. So I have one whole group, one whole group, one whole group, and then I have 1/2. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1/2 gives me 3 1/2. So the answer to the question, 7 divided by 2 gives me 3 1/2. And that's how you represent that division problem with a tape diagram. Let's move on. 6.2, represent groups of fractions with tape diagrams. To make sense of the question, how many 2/3 are in 1, Andre wrote the equations and drew a tape diagram. So he said, what times 2/3 is 1? And 1 divided by 2/3 is what? And then here's his picture. So then what they ask here is, how did Andre's tape diagram also help us solve the equation? So I went ahead and wrote out my sentence in my book. And I don't want to rewrite it again, so I'm going to show it to you. So I said the tape diagram shows one whole broken into 3 equal parts. Each part is 1/3. So 2 parts makes 2/3. There is one group of 2/3 plus an extra 1/3, which is half of the group size. So the answer is 1.5. Groups of 2/3 are in 1. So if you look back at the picture, this is 2/3, that's one group. So this right here is half of a group of 2/3. So the answer is one whole group plus a half group, so 1.5. So that's what I got for that answer up here. And again, I wrote it in my book, so I'm not going to write it again. All right, question 2. Write a multiplication equation and a division equation for each of the following questions. Draw a tape diagram and find the solution. Use the grid to help you draw if you need. So I'm going to go ahead and come up with my multiplication and my division problems first, and then I'll do my tape diagram. So the first multiplication problem I'm going to think of is how many 3/4 are in 1. So I know that my 1 is my whole. So 3/4 times what gives me 1? Now I know that commutative property lets me move those around. So I could say question mark times 3/4 gives me 1. I'm not going to write it though. All right, another division problem could be this. 1 divided by 3/4 gives me what? Or 1 divided by question mark gives me 3/4. So those are my equations using multiplication and division. Now I'm going to represent it with a problem. So I want my amount to be, I want my sizes to be fourths because I'm dividing by fourths. So to make one whole, I'm going to go over 4 spaces. And the reason why I'm doing 4 spaces is because if I do that, then I can represent these as fourths. This gives me my one whole. And so if I know that this is 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, there's my 3/4. So that counts as one group of 3/4. Then what do I have left? I have 1 out of how many do I need to make one whole group? I need 3. So this guy counts as 1 out of 3 that I need. So 1/3 of a group of 3/4. So I have one whole group and I have 1 1/3 group. So 1 whole plus 1/3 gives me 1 1/3. So my answer to the problem is 1 divided by 3/4 gives me 1 1/3. Next question, how many 2/3 are in 3? So again, we want 3 wholes. I don't know how many boxes I want, so I'm going to look at what sizes I want. I want 3s, or I want thirds, so I know I need, that counts as 1 whole. There's my 2 wholes. There's my 3 wholes. So all of that is 3. And I'm going to show that by drawing some lines right here. So that counts as 1, that counts as 1. And again, I did that because these are the size pieces I want. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That's 9/3, which is 3. All right, the size groups they want are 2/3. So what I'm going to do is use my highlighter because this one is a little bit more challenging. There's one group. There's 2 groups. There's 3 groups. Oops, there's 3 groups. There's 4. And then look who I have left over. I've got a 1/3 left over, but that's not the size of his group. So this counts as one group of 2/3. This counts as one group. This is one group. one group, but this is 1 out of the 2 I need, so therefore he is 1 out of the 2 I need, so he's 1/2 of a group of 2/3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus a half gives me 4 1/2. So the answer to my question, oh, I didn't write them down. I'll write them down in just a second. Sorry about that. 3 divided by 2/3 is 4 1/2. So 4 1/2 groups of 2/3 goes into 3. So right here, my multiplication problems would be 2/3 times what gives me 3? Or 3 divided by 2/3 gives me what? All right, next, how many 3/2 are in 5? So I know I want my size pieces to be halves. So if I've got 5 holes, I'm going to need 10 because 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to need 10 of these little babies here. So 1, 2, there's 1, 1, 2, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's my 5 holes. And again, I just drew my lines to be really thick to show that these are my holes. So we're going to label it with 5, and then each of these are a half. Okay. My group sizes are 3/2, so that means I need 3 of them. So this counts as 1 group. This counts as 1 group. This counts as 1 group. And then I got this lonely guy over here, and I got to figure out what size he is out of his group. So this counts as 1 group of 3/2. This is 1, this is 1, and this guy is 1 out of, what did we need? 3. So 1 out of 3 is 1/3 of a group. So I have 1, 1, and 1, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus a third. So I get 3 1/3 groups for this answer. Again, I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot my problem. So 3/2 times what is 5? And 5 divided by 3/2 is what? Okay. All right, 6.3, finding numbers of groups. So for each question, draw a diagram to show the relationship of the quantities and to help you answer the question. Then write a multiplication equation or division equation for the situation describing the question. Be prepared to show your reasoning. How many 3/8 inch thick books make a stack that is 6 inches tall? Wowzer. So I want 8. I want eighths 6 times. Okay, that's going to be a very, very, very long one. So it's 48. Wow. Okay.
May I have your attention, please? If everyone would please move to the media center for our last session. Again, please move to the media center for our last session. Thank you.
Just ignore that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to zoom out because this is so big. So here's my 1/8. I've got 6 inches because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3/8. So here, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. That counts as 1 group. And then what you do is you're just going to highlight and color in until you get done. What I'm going to do is, because I already have this written, I'm going to go ahead and show you my answer for question A. So this is what I got. Here's my 1/8, and that's one group, one group, one group, one group, one group. And I just kept going till I had none left. And I got 16 groups of 3/8. Okay. All right, my next problem. How many groups of a half are in 2 3/4 pounds? So this is where it gets tricky because we've always dealt with whole number dividends. This time we're having a fraction dividend. So what you're going to want to do is we want our sizes to be a half. But we have 2 3/4 pounds. So really what we're probably going to want to do is do fourths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and we don't have the rest of that. I'm going to use my whiteout if I can find it. Well, just ignore this, so that's not there. So what we want to do is that this is 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and we want a half. This really right here counts as a half, and then this counts, I went over a little bit, a half. So that's 1, that's 1, and then you can just keep going until you get here. And I didn't mean to mess up there. So I'm going to show you my book of what I did earlier. So here's my 1/4, 1/4, which is 1/2. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this 1 counts as half of a group. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus a half, so 5 1/2. Okay, so back to my second paper. So we're going to write a question that can be represented by the division equation, 5 divided by 1 1/2. Then you're going to answer the question and you're going to show your reasoning. So just for sake of time, because this video is getting a little long, I'm going to show you the question that I came up with. How many 1/2 hours are in 5 hours? And then I drew my picture. So here's 5 hours, and then here's 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. And that's 1 1/2, and that counts as 1, 2, 3, and then this is 1/3, so 1, 2, 3, and a third, 3 1/3 groups of 1/2 hours and 5 hours. All right, so that's it for lesson 6. It was a little longer, and I apologize for that. And here are the answers for your homework. If you'll pause the video or rewind the video so you don't see these before you get started. So for question 1, I got 12. For question 2, here's my rule, so pause your video if you want to read that. You draw a rectangle whose length is 3, you partition it into 3 equal pieces to show 3 groups of 1, then you partition each whole into fifths. There are 15 fifths and 3, then you shade each group of 3 fifths, and then you count how many groups. So basically, I was just telling you exactly how to do this problem. Question 3, what times a half is 7, and 7 times a half is what? B, I got 14. And then for question 4, I agree. And I got 1 1/5. Question 5, I got D and E. And then question 6, for A, I got 7, B, I got 11, C, I got 40, D, I got 12, E, I got 45, F, I got 175, G, I got 225, and H, I got 36. All right, that is it for your lesson 6. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you may ask Miss Ashley or Miss Hartman across the hallway, or just wait until I return. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys later.